when it comes to recruitment, people use the term mindset as though it was a single thing, and it's really not. Mindset means so many different things to so many different people in so many different situations that it's really worthwhile slicing into it a little bit and taking out the individual elements, because then you can potentially combine them to get the mindset effect that you're looking for. Some people talk about mindset and mean resilience, how well and how quickly somebody can recover from a setback. Some people mean how motivated somebody is on a day-to-day basis. Some people talk about how energetic somebody is. It might mean how clear somebody is on their long-term goals and how committed they are to achieving them. Now, all of those can, be mindset, but there's so many other things that can also be mindset. And also, think about some of those things for a second. Resilience, how quickly and how well somebody bounces back after a problem or a setback. Yeah, but let's say that somebody brings in someone like me and says, oh, we need to build resilience. And what does that mean? What are they bouncing back from? What does bouncing back mean? How would that exhibit itself? There's so many different elements. So let me take a little bit of time just to slice mindset down into different pieces, and then we can think about how we build them back up again. Let's start with the most basic element. The most basic element being whether you're clear on your goals and targets, and whether you have a why. Do you have a reason, a really cogent, emotionally impactful reason to achieve those goals or objectives? Because the thing is, if your reason, if your why for achieving those goals is up here, it's intellectual rather than down here, rather than being visceral and emotional, it just won't have the effect. Because motivation, drive, desire, passion, they're not intellectual exercises, they're visceral, they're emotional, they're in the gut or in the chest or in the wherever your feelings may happen to be located. They could be in your left big toe, I don't know, but wherever your feelings are, that's where those kinds of emotions sit. And the desire to achieve something, the commitment to achieve it, the motivation to achieve it, those are emotions. So having a clear goal or a clear set of targets, and the why, the reason, the why you want to achieve them, which has an emotional impact, an emotional meaning for you, that is the starting point. Because without that, all your motivation, all your drive, all your commitment is always going to be a little bit fleeting. Now, can you keep yourself motivated without having a long-term goal? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely you can. Can you drive yourself forwards day to day without really having an end point in mind? Yeah, absolutely. I have done in the past. While I was trying to sort of work out what the goal and the end game, the objective was. But it's much harder. It's much more like hard work to keep restarting the engine every day when you don't wake up going, oh God, I get the chance to work on this. Because when you wake up with that sensation, that's a much more productive, much more efficient way of working the machine that is you. So the starting point is what you're trying to achieve and an emotional reason or an emotional set of reasons for why you're trying to achieve it. The next two elements, and they are very closely linked, and they are really what people talk about when they talk about resilience, and those are what you choose to focus on at any given time, at any given situation, and the questions that you ask yourself. So what do I mean by those two things? Well, in any given situation, I don't know where you're sat or standing now. You might be on a treadmill at the gym, you might be driving your car. If you are, I hope you're not watching the video, you just got the sound on. You might be sat at home, you might be in the office. I have no idea where you are, but wherever you are, there's stuff going on around you. And if I've been doing my job even vaguely well, you've been ignoring those things around you. You've been deleting them. I'll give you a stupid example. Assuming that you are at some point in contact with the floor, you're not levitating. Well, either your bum is in contact with the seat, or your feet are in contact with the floor, or possibly both. And you probably weren't aware of the pressure of your bum on the seat or your feet on the floor until I mentioned them, but now you are. You probably weren't aware of whatever the background noise is in the room. Where I am, I've got an air filter on, that's the little round thing there. You can possibly hear it purring just very slightly. Or maybe that's Vicky on the windowsill, I'm not sure. But you might hear that very slight sound of the fan whirring. Probably not, but you might. I certainly am now because I'm tuned into it. But you delete all this stuff. And the reason that we delete that stuff is called the rule of 7. There is a limit to how many things a human being can focus on at the same time. And it's roughly a maximum of 7. Strictly speaking, it's between 5 and 9 things. I find that a massive overestimate most of the time. It's not gender related, by the way. The idea of women being better at multitasking than men is just actually not scientifically true, but let's ignore that. The point being, whatever gender you are, whatever race, whatever nationality, there are a limited number of things you can focus on. And what you focus on doesn't just mean that you give that your attention, it means you tune out all the other stuff that's happening. So if you're on a call with somebody, you tune out all the stuff that goes on around you. It's why a lot of people will maybe put their head down a little bit or close their eyes while they're on a phone call with somebody. Why are you closing your eyes? You can't see them. It's not like it's because you're taking away the distraction that's going on, because you've got between 5 and 9 things, rule of 7. So removing one of them, as in the visual stimuli, means that you can focus on that phone call more effectively. Does that make some sense? So what you focus on in a given situation is massively important. I'll give you a for instance. If you've had something bad that's happened, a candidate's dropped out, an offer's been rescinded, somebody's accepted a counter offer, you've got a lowball offer off a client, whatever it may be, and you're sat there going, okay, yes, by all means, take the second. Absolutely. But then you've got a choice. You can either focus on how awful it is and why it's happened. You can always have the post-mortem later. When it's dead, you can post-mortem it. Or you can focus on how you turn it around. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not suggesting that you don't analyse how it happened, because once you've analysed how it happened, you can then come back and work to prevent it next time. For example, I'm full of tools and tricks and techniques to stop counter offers being accepted. There's a million ways to prevent lowball offers, and I talk about them in all sorts of my courses, but that's great for next time. It's important for next time, but for this time, what do you focus on? You focus on how to fix it, how to use it, how to turn it around so that you can create a different outcome or turn the situation to your advantage. But that's the what you focus on. The second aspect that I mentioned is the questions that you ask yourself. So, for example, you get the same situation, the counter offer that gets accepted, or the lowball offer, or the client that's ghosting you. Well, you can go, oh God, why does it always happen to me? That's one kind of question. Or you can say, okay, what's the best, easiest, most efficient way of turning this around? You could say, oh God, no, why? What have I done to deserve this? Or you could say, what's the best way of turning this around? What's the best and easiest and quickest way of fixing this damn thing? two very different questions. Tony Robbins says that the quality of your life is the quality of your internal communication. What he means by that is the quality of the questions that you ask yourself. The better the questions you ask yourself, the more options and choices you'll have, and therefore the better the results that you'll create. So you frame your questions internally with as much thought and skill as you would the questions to other people, the external questions. So, if you were talking to a candidate who's had a little bit of negative feedback, I hope that you wouldn't say to them, "Oh, why does this always happen to you? Why do you deserve this?" Because obviously your candidate's just going to go off and go, "I don't know." I'm assuming that you'd ask your candidate, "Okay, well, how do we turn this around? What's the best way of repositioning this?" You'd ask another person better, smarter, more effective questions. Do the same for yourself and you'll get better outcomes. What's the best? What's the easiest? What's the fastest? What's the quickest? What's the most efficient way of getting the result you want? So if you combine those elements, you've brought together a mindset of resilience, because when X happens, you focus on solving it, you ask yourself smart questions, you come up with smart actions, you take them, hey presto, you are resilient, or rather you're behaving in a resilient way. And if you behave in a resilient way long enough, guess what happens? People assume you're resilient, and you assume that you're resilient. Though generally, anybody that says out in the world, "Oh, I am a resilient person," probably isn't. But maybe that's just my misconception, or maybe it's my prejudice. I don't know. So you've got those two elements: what you focus on, how you focus on it. The third element of resilience, motivation, day-to-day mindset is your personal physiology. That's your own body language. Everybody knows that if you feel a bit down or you feel a bit stressed, it comes out in your body language. If you have some bad news, you might go, oh. We even have this embedded in the English language. We'll say things like, "Don't let your head drop." Yeah, these things are so clear to everybody. You can always tell when somebody's having a bad half hour because the face goes all floppy and the shoulders drop and the head's down. You can see it. So a thing happens on the outside and it affects your physiology, your body language. But the opposite is also true. If you change your body language, you can change your emotions. So emotions follow body language in the same way as body language follows emotions. So if you lift your head up, pull your shoulders back, lift your chin, put a great big smile on your face, it's just a little bit harder to be browned off, to be hacked off, to be upset, to be angry. Because if you keep smiling and you keep being like that, I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm not saying that this is a cure for psychiatric disorders or major life traumas, but it does make it a little bit more easier. It does make it a bit more straightforward to deal with the stuff that happens. So you get some crappy news that comes in and you go, okay, let's shrug it off. It's another expression in English. Shrug it off. Okay, right. Chin up. Keep your chin up. Take a deep breath in. Okay, what do I need to focus on? Great. What's the best way of focusing on that and getting the best results? You've brought together what you focus on, the questions you ask yourself, and your physiology. And you have changed the result that you're going to get very simply, very quickly, very effectively, just by doing three things. And those three things are not your mindset. They're not. But if you combine them together, they become your behavior. And if you put your behavior together with your goals and your reason why, those can become your mindset when you do the last part of the puzzle. The last part of the puzzle is habit. If you behave in a certain way long enough and consistently enough and with enough emotional content, it will stop being something you do and it will eventually become something you are. It will move from behavior to identity. It will move from, oh, I do this, to I am this. Habit. The book Atomic Habits by James Clear, great book. Also, really good newsletter because it's short and it's pithy and it's smart. And a good Twitter account. But habits are not that difficult to form. They don't take that long. It's simply a matter of repetition with emotional intent. So if you do a certain thing in a certain way with enough emotional intent and you do it for a reasonably short number of times, it will stick. And when you fall off the wagon and you go, oh God, I forgot to, oh, okay. And you get back on and you do it and you do it and you do it and you do it. Eventually, your brain and your physiology, both of which are smart, they work out that, okay, my default setting is this, not that. Consistency and habit are what turn behaviors into what people call mindset. So, just to recap, clear goals with a why, a reason for wanting those goals that is emotionally based, that hits you. It's visceral, it's in the gut, an emotional reason. Then you choose what you focus on. Consciously choose what you focus on so that you can use any given situation to your advantage. Consciously use better questions to ask yourself better questions so that you give yourself better answers, better results, better options, and better behavior. And lastly, use your physiology, your body language, so that you can create a physical state so that when you ask yourself a smart question about the right things, you can actually act on it. It's a simple process of act as if. Now, I really want to caution people on this. There's a big bullshit factor around the idea of act as if. You know, act as if you're a millionaire and you'll become one. No, if you act as if you're a millionaire without actually creating any wealth, you'll just be even poorer and more miserable. But if you act as if you're confident, act as if you're happy, act as if you're enthusiastic, you will be. If you act as if well enough, it becomes real. Your body can't tell the difference between you pretending to be excited and you being excited. It just has the physical sensations. It produces the neurochemicals. Boom. It becomes real. And take those elements and do them habitually, every day, every time something happens, every opportunity. Habit, habit, habit. And that doesn't mean that you can then forget about it and let it happen all automatically. It just means that consciously focusing, asking yourself better questions and using your physiology becomes easier, because habit will mean you're starting from a much better starting point. And that is how you build a mindset. Whether it's a mindset of resilience, motivation, passion, commitment, enthusiasm, or all of the above. That is how you build a mindset. If you want to know a bit more about it, if you click down the link down in the comments, you'll be able to get a free copy of the Billings Accelerator, which is a 7-video program, the free bonus on productivity as well. Just for a very short period of time. It's a free offer. Should be £97, but right now it's free. So grab your free copy. No credit card or anything, just add your details and you've got immediate lifetime access to all the content. If you have any questions, or if there's stuff that didn't quite make sense for you, either put it in the comments or you can contact me via LinkedIn or Facebook. The links are in the main profile. And enjoy this stuff. Go and have some fun with it. Go and play with it. I'll see you next time.